Welcome back. I'm Connie Sokol, your host, and it is such a joy to do this Disciple Thought Leadership series because the kind of women that I'm getting to introduce you to and the concepts and the topics that they are teaching and sharing are just so mind and life altering. They really are life changing. So today we are talking about something, especially for women across the board, they struggle with to be able to make peace with and then also create abundance with, and that is money mindset. Is that something you struggle with? Well, we have some answers today. And today we're going to talk about kind of this origin of where this sort of starts from with the one woman who has been teaching us these concepts in our own DTL circle, is what we call it, the DTL circle. And she has been teaching us, and what she has taught has opened up all of our minds and our abilities to be able to improve this money mindset and make peace with it. And also, like I said, create abundance. So welcome today, Janae Thompson.
Thank you so much. So
We are
happy to be here.
we're so grateful for you to share your awesome experiences and how you even got to this place. And you're going to be doing a whole series on money mindset. So we're not going to
Yep.
get into a ton of the nitty gritty, although she's going to give us a great takeaway today. But really want to get to that starting place, the origin of where this all came from, so that women out there can feel that, oh my gosh, that was me. That's where I'm at. That's how do I get from here to there? So that we can all say, I get the process here and I'm willing to step into that. So you have this love of being able to share this joyful, abundant money mindset that, like I said, is something women struggle with. How did this even get started? Like, where do you remember this being even an interest or something that was like a light bulb moment for you, an aha for you?
Sure. So I've always kind of approached money as very logical.
Mm,
I haven't had a lot of emotion connected to it, and I don't know if that was natural. I didn't necessarily come from a family where we didn't have money issues. I came from just like a pretty typical middle class American family. My mom used coupons. My dad worked a day job. We were trying to save money here and there, and I think actually the very first time I remember feeling there's a concept behind this energetic exchange, because my view now is money is just a tool. It's as simple as your clock on your wall that tells you what time it is. Nobody has a problem with asking somebody what time it is. They're just numbers that give you an idea of a measurement, right? But because money, we get this idea that money equates to value. It doesn't. As a human being, as a woman, your value is priceless. So, when you start to equate, well, this pair of shoes costs this much and this costs this much, and I don't want to spend this much, so I'll spend this much, so I'm worth less. Or I deserve this because I think I'm great, so I'm going to pay more. And then you're equating your value to who you are, and that's wrong. We don't equate our value to what time it is, right? And so the the first time I remember seeing this is I would watch my mom clip coupons Sunday from the Sunday paper, and she loves doing that. It was one of her things that brought her joy, which that is wonderful. If it brings you joy, absolutely do it. It's about the motive. If it brings you joy, that's not necessarily about the value. But what I watched her do is I watched her spend hours and hours doing this, and then she'd go to the store and she'd get all of her coupon things and she'd bring home this abundance of of things from the grocery store. And I looked at these things, and to me, they didn't have a lot of value. So it would be like the boxes of cereal that were extra sugary, and just things that weren't what I felt like, and especially now what I feel like are valuable in my life. But she would get them for a great price. She'd use her coupon, she'd buy them on sale, and then she'd come home and she'd tell all these stories about how she got these great deals, and then she used her coupon, and then the grocery store ended up paying her 5 cents to buy this. So she got a thrill from that, which that's wonderful. That's one of her passions. But in my mind, I thought, I don't want to spend my time, my most precious resource, cutting coupons to save money to buy things I don't want. So this could be a value difference. Because again, my mom gained a lot of joy out of this, but I also saw in her that I think she got some value for herself in saying, look, I can stretch this dollar so I'm more valuable. And I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm more valuable because of something that I do or something that I contribute. I want to have time abundance, I want to have money abundance, and I want to have resource abundance where I can buy fresh fruits and vegetables no matter how much they cost and nourish my body because that's a value that I have. And I don't want to clip coupons because I can't sit that long. And that does not bring me joy. I'd rather make more money to buy the things that I want, or this other concept of I'd rather pay more for less and get what I really want versus pay less and have a lot more stuff that now I have to manage.
Mm.
So you can see how many money concepts of value are intertwined in what I just said. And these are some concepts that I'd love to dig deeper into in the upcoming podcast. But this is kind of one of the first times where I saw my mom, and I only have one mom, is sitting here spending hours clipping coupons, and I can go sit next to her and I can, spend time with her while she's doing this, but this is her focus right now. And I don't find a lot of value in that. And I don't want to trade my time in that way to try and save money. And so that was the first time that I felt like there's got to be something to this. And in my mind, this idea formed, could I just make enough money that I don't ever have to worry about that stuff? Like that would be better for me. And so, that's kind of where I thought, if I could just have a complete abundance where I didn't have any emotional ties to spending this here or spending that there or having to make a decision. Or now I'm not saying budgeting and making those decisions are not important. They are. And I spent a lot of years making those critical decisions of where I wanted to place value. But my end goal was to feel like I don't have to worry about that, and I don't have to put energy into wondering, can I pay my bills? Can I pay my mortgage? Which can of green beans am I going to buy? The organic or the store brand? Because, that extra 30 cents I'm going to save between them makes a difference in my life. I don't want 30 cents to make a difference in my life. So I would say that's the first time for me that I saw that. And I would say I was probably, elementary school age, like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. And it was pretty natural.
That is amazing. And I love that at that early age, you picked up on that. People who have their zone of genius, usually it starts young, that's something that they're aware of, that they kind of really hone in on, that they resonate with. And I love that you saw the value of what your mom did in it bringing value to her. But like all good moms, we want our kids to build on what we are doing or what we're teaching. So you took
Absolutely.
that and you were able to say, I love how you were like, I don't want 30 cents to make a difference in my life. You were able to say, love that. And I'm going to improve on that. I want to make this more about abundance and about having all things open to me and not spending time and energy on these smaller details. So
Yes.
what came next in the sense of what was another pivotal moment that you felt like, okay, now I saw this in myself and what I wanted, but then this is how the rubber met the road, that I actually made that happen.
Yeah. So that is a fun story and progression. So, like I said, when you have an abundance mentality, it's not frivolous. It's not like, oh, I want so much money that I can do whatever I want. It's a very responsible approach.
Mm.
And so, in the years that I started working and making my own money and building a business um, and meeting my husband, I bought my first home when I was 23, and I was a single girl. And I got 3 roommates to come and rent rooms in my house. And so they paid my mortgage. It was funny because my husband, this is actually how we met. We lived in the same complex. So he owned his townhome, I owned mine. He was renting to roommates, I was renting to roommates. This is the difference between men and women, perhaps, right here, is he took the smallest room in his house so that he could get the most rent. So he had his mortgage completely paid for, and I think he made like $200 or $300 a month on his roommate's rent, right? Well, me, I took the biggest room with its own private bathroom and the beautiful view, and I gave my roommates the smaller room, and I paid like $200 a month for my mortgage, and my roommates paid the rest. But I was like, to me, I want to enjoy what I have, and I'm still getting a great deal, but it's not so important to me that I don't pay anything or make money. And I think this is kind of where the seeds were planted in my mind for the expression of the next principle that, and this is the takeaway that I want to give to you as we progress. I'm going to kind of build on it, but I was like, I love this top room. It's the master bedroom. It has a bathroom connected to it. It has a large closet, and I can orchestrate my life in a way that brings more happiness and joy to me and more organization. And I'm a happier person. I'm more effective. Now, if I was just concerned about the money, I would have said, hey, you know what? I can rent this master bedroom to 2 girls, and I can take one of these smaller bedrooms and I'll be fine. And I'll make an extra $200 a month. Well, if my main focus was just the money, which for my husband, that's what it was. He's like, I don't care what I live in. I just want to make the most money possible, which that's great. It's another value. You decide what's important to you. And that's one of the keys, is deciding what's important to you and then not negotiating that, not saying, oh, well, yeah, it's probably the right thing to, rent this room to 2 girls and make more money, but I wish I could have that. No, that's going against what you're saying your desire is. And that's betraying your own joy. And that's not going to bring you abundance. So renting the room to 2 more girls and making an extra $200 would actually put me personally into a poverty mentality, because then I wouldn't be living this joy of what I really want. And so I chose what I really wanted, and I loved it. I was living this life of joy and happiness. I owned this townhome. I was this young college graduate, and I was a single girl, and I was totally independent of my parents and self-sufficient. And I was proud of myself for that, and that brought me a lot of fulfillment. And so I had a job. It was really a low paying job. It was my first job out of college. I wasn't making a ton of money, but I had this townhome. I was renting my rooms. I paid $200 for this room that I loved, and we all split utilities. So my living expenses were really low, and I was super happy. My husband, he made $200 a month on top of what he paid for rent and split the utilities. So he was over the moon happy, because that was his value. And so we were both in this space of, this is what brings us joy. This is our value. Okay. So then we met, we got married, we started a family, and things and priorities change when you get married and have a family, because now it's not just about yourself anymore. Now you take into account the other people in your life. And this brings an added element of, you know what, here's what brings me joy, and I have this whole world around me that I'm going to support and be willing to sacrifice for. Now, here's the question to ask. Are you willing to sacrifice yourself for that? And I would hope not. But are you willing to make the right sacrifices for your family? I would hope so. And so that's the difference in, putting yourself and your desires below what your situation is not the right way to look at sacrifice. So I'm advocating for making sacrifices for the whole, but not at the expense of yourself. You got to find a way to balance those. And again, like going back to honing in on what is your true desire. When you know what it is you want, and you feel that your value is enough, that it's okay for you to have your desires, that's where you want to come from. And then put into that, okay, what's our budget? What are our priorities, and what does our family need, and what do I need? And they're all equally important. There's not one that's more important than the other. And a lot of times I think women look at that and they say, well, my family needs this, and my children need this, and the mortgage needs this, so there's not enough for me. But it's like, no, all those things are important, and your need is important. How can we create a balance between all of those things without sacrificing yourself and your desires?
Oh my gosh, I love that. It makes me think of Carolyn Pierce's poem, The Red Dress. I think that's the name of it. But it's that mom, that country mom, farmer. And she said she's dying. Her daughter comes to her bedside, and she's like, don't do it like I did. I took the burnt toast. I took the last thing.
Mhm.
And when we had any extra, I put an extra washer payment. And she said one day she was down and she saw this red dress in the window, and she just bought it,
Mhm.
like this weird thing,
Oh,
put it in the
beautiful.
closet. And
Yeah.
then she said it just stayed there, and the daughter said like a red gash in her closet because the mother did not have that joy, did not take time
Yeah.
to share, "Hey, everybody, I'm a person too." And I think
Yeah.
sometimes with what you're talking about, I see this happen for myself, for other women, that we think in being sacrificing, we almost make it a become a paragon. Like we go, "Oh, I'm a martyr because look, I'm
Right.
sacrificing everything for my family," but we don't realize we are teaching the next generation, and that's going to not teach them healthy mindset, whether it's money or anything else. So what a quick kind of a segue, what would you suggest, because as we're talking about this investing in yourself, in your family, in good things, in this quality of life is what you're talking about, not just
Mhm.
a money thing, but
Yeah.
stepping back and seeing this big picture, which is beautiful, that money is a tool to make this beautiful life happen at any stage, at whatever amount you have.
Mhm.
What would you recommend when women do struggle to invest in themselves, whether it's for themselves or maybe once they're married and that's not a shared sentiment, starting with just their own ability to get over that hump? Any
Yeah.
suggestions for being able to make that step that you've made?
Yeah, totally. So, going back to after I got married, I did get kind of stuck into that, like, oh, I can't buy this for myself now because I have a husband and I have a baby, and we got to do the things that are the right thing for our family. And then one day I realized, I'm married, I have a home, and I have a baby, and I'm less happy. Like, why do I feel less happy? And I'm remembering back to when I was a single girl in my apartment, and I was in this beautiful room that I loved, and my life just felt orchestrated because I was so happy. And I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be less happy after I get married and have kids and have all this responsibility. I'm like, what is it? What is it? And here's the takeaway. It's because I was starting to negate and put above my needs, the desires and needs and priorities of everybody else. And when I realized this, I was like, you know what? I'm important too. And my budget is a lot lower, and I have a lot of different responsibilities now than I did when I was single. And so this changes things. And I did kind of get stuck into that martyr of, and here's the other thing about when we as women do that, we kind of act like we're martyrs and we're making these sacrifices for our family. And you know what the saddest part of that is that we then start placing our value on these sacrifices we're making for our family. And we think we're such a great mom because we're making this sacrifice. And yet what we're doing is we're showing our daughters that I'm not worth it. And that is the worst lesson we can teach our daughters when we're not standing in this, you know what? I want that red dress. I'm going to buy that red dress. I'm going to wear that red dress, and I'm going to clean the kitchen in that red dress, or I'm going to go out in that red dress, whatever you need to do with the red dress. But it's saying, I am beautiful. I am valuable. I have a desire, and it's okay for me to have what I want. And so this is the switch. And this is the takeaway, is that when you invest in yourself, that is the highest dividend investment you can ever make. So I'll tell you the story of the first thing that I did after I was married, and I did this, and it changed everything. So I had this little baby, and it was winter time, and I was struggling with depression. I wasn't very happy. Maybe I had postpartum depression. I don't know. I didn't really get into it. I'm just like a, like white knuckle, let's just get through whatever, I'll do whatever it takes. And like that's kind of my personality. I like to go and work, right? Not saying that's right or wrong, but but I was really sad, and I really wanted to go tanning. And somebody had said, so it's winter time, and it's not one of those things where I really just wanted to get a tan. I mean, I would like that, but I have pretty pale skin, and it doesn't really work that well for me anyway. But I was cold all the time, and I was sad, and I was depressed. And I went to this tanning booth on like a free thing. And, I did 10 minutes in it, and I got warm and I got sunlight. And I remember popping out of there and just feeling happy. And
Mm.
I was like, wow, I think maybe I have, like maybe sad, that
Seasonal feeling.
seasonal
Mhm.
depression, where I just needed some more sunlight. And I was like, that felt really therapeutic, and that felt wonderful. And I was like, you know what? I need this. And they were doing this special where you could buy a bottle of lotion and actually get a whole year of tanning for free. But the bottle of lotion was like $100, which I would have spent that much on a bottle of lotion. But it came with a year tanning pass, and it was just their lowest bed. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for myself. So here's where it kind of like justifies the purchase. But again, I don't want it to be about a justification. It's about, what do you really need? And in this moment in my life, I needed sunshine, I needed warmth, and I needed to feel important. Like, can I get away from my house for 30 minutes and leave the baby with my husband so I can have a few minutes to myself, to lay down, to get warm, to get some light therapy? And it made all the difference for me. And you know what? I realized when I was, putting my credit card in, this is the first time I'm spending this much money on myself after I got married. I am still valuable and what I need matters. And you know what came from that? I started feeling happier. I started showing up as a joyful wife and a joyful mother because I was getting sunlight and I was taking some time away and I was resting and I was replenishing myself. And I was like, wow, you know what? That $100 that I spent on that is paying me back in infinite fold in the joy that I'm creating, the way I'm more effective, how this is showing up in our family. And I was like, wow, this is the key, is to look at what do I need and balance that desire and how do I create that. And so then this is just the last thing that supports this example. A couple years later, I had this yoga teacher say, I'm going to put on a retreat, and it was $500. And I still wasn't there. I was like, $500? And I have to buy a plane ticket and go to California. And I had 2 kids by this time. And I was like, actually, that sounds like really fun, but like, I could never take that much time away. And $500 just to stay somewhere for 3 days. You got to be kidding me. And the plane ticket, which at the time my husband was actually a pilot. So we got the plane ticket for free because I flew standby and I got there without having to buy that. So that was another little added benefit. But, I had a savings account, and it was for investments. And again, this is a time where we are very, very closely budgeting all of our money because, again, like, abundance goes with responsibility, not frivolousness. But knowing what it is you need and the desires that you have, and knowing how to invest in those things the right way, this is the principle. And I said, you know what? In this savings account, I have about $1,200. So I have plenty of money to pay for this retreat. Now, in my mind, this investment account was, you put it in an investment and it pays you a percentage back. And that's kind of what this account was dog-eared for. But I was like, I think that I need to put this money into this retreat for myself. And I did it. And it was a total leap of faith. And I had never spent that much money on myself. I had never been away from my kids that long. I had never flown by myself since I had my kids. It's like, as women, before we get married and have kids, it's like we're so independent and we can do all these things and it's no problem. And then we have a husband and kids and it's like, oh, I can't fly by myself. I need to be at home taking care of them. Like, I can't do these things anymore. And it's like, no, you still can.
Yep.
You're still a person. And it's like, oh, okay. And so I got on a plane. I went to this retreat. I did yoga for 3 days, and it changed my life. It changed my life. And I came home a different person. I came home a new woman, a new wife, a new mother, and I felt joy and happiness again like I hadn't before. And it was incredible. And I realized that $500 investment created a whole new world for me that opened up the door for even more abundance, investment opportunity, even in my husband's work and what we did together. It changed everything because I invested in myself. So I would say that $500 investment in that retreat for myself has literally paid me back millions in what we've been able to create since that place.
Oh my gosh, I love everything that you are saying, and so many experiences are coming to mind that just validate. Even now, my
Yeah.
kids know that I go to this school spa, because it's a little bit cheaper, and for $40 a week, I get this Melise body wrap, and they pamper me for 40 minutes
Beautiful.
while I'm getting body toxins, out. And I'll tell you what, I've been healthy as a horse for years. And I swear it comes back to that, where it's that once a week that I work like a dog for, but I am able to get pampered, release, and ready for the next week. And
Right.
you're exactly right. The dividends that pays with clarity of thought, with energy, with desire to be with my kids, to do the things I need to do to nurture other women, you are spot on. And I think I
Right.
love all of these things that you're saying. I am still valuable and my needs matter.
Yeah.
After we get married and have kids, I love that you are validating that need and that not glorifying the sacrifice. Sacrifice is part of it. And that's what helps us create that love for sure. But we will have plenty of opportunities to sacrifice. We don't need to create or martyr more and be this paragon of poverty, right? To be
Right.
able to say, this, I call it the mom pie. Everyone gets a slice, including you. Everybody gets a slice of the mom pie.
Yeah.
I love these things. I know that we need to wrap up here, but ladies, if you are just joining us, I'm going to hit some of these highlights really quickly. And then Janae is going to share just one last thought that she may not have had to share during this time that we've had together. She will have other meditation podcasts in this series. So know there's more juicy, good things coming. We are so
Oh,
excited.
yes.
But for those that may have missed it, I love that she said money is simply a tool. It's all about the motive. And then understanding your value scale, that you decide you want to pay more for less to get more of what I value. I love that. Then you said decide your values and then don't negotiate those. And then live your joy and abundance will come. I love these thoughts. They are so fantastic. And I love that you have validated this beautiful faith-based sort of value-based way of seeing life of yes, motherhood and wifehood and family and all of that does not mean that we negate the womanhood part, because that's always who we are. Those different pieces still remain and need to be attended to, need to be nurtured. what
Absolutely.
what of all these things, and you have so many beautiful things that you share with women and that have shifted them, have shifted us to create and generate more abundance for ourselves and for others. Is there one last thought that you haven't shared yet that you would love to share with women who are listening to this and saying, I really want to do this. I feel this resonate. I want to believe this. I want to act this way. Any one last thought of helping them to make that happen on the daily?
Yes, I do. So this is going to be a complete perspective shift. So what you're saying that you do, you go once a week to the spa,
Mm.
and on the outside, somebody might look at that and say, "Oh, that's so selfish that she's doing that." Right? And that's totally not true, because what it does is it allows you to be the very best that you are. And so I'm going to flip that around and I'm going to say, Connie, it would actually be so selfish of you not to do that. If you didn't take care of yourself, if you didn't do what brought you joy and what just replenished you, that would be more selfish than anything else, not taking care of yourself. And so I just want to flip that, because these investments we make in ourselves are the most important thing we can invest in. And it's selfish not to. It's selfish not to take care of yourself.
You're exactly right. Because it's how we show up on the daily. We think, I want to be the best mom I can be. But if we're snapping at our kids and we're tired all the time, and then we're resentful and we're blaming everybody for the situation that we're in, that is not healthy. And we're not teaching our children healthy skills. But when we own it, 100% responsible, and
Yep.
say, you know what? I am a full-time mom. I'm a world-class mom. And if I'm a world-class athlete, what am I doing? I am taking care of my mind, body, and soul so that I show up every day that I am at my best, because who I am and what I do, they are taking that in and they are going to be learning from me to become who they're going to become. So I
Yep.
love that you make that clear and make that importance for women listening who are like, falling over themselves to how do I find Janae and get more of this? What's the best way for them to reach you and get more of magical you?
Yeah. So right now my blog is kind of my heart place. It's called followtheenergyoftheday.com. And this is where I share a lot in depth about my life experiences. And there's a lot of emotion in there. You can put your email in there. We are going to be starting an email list. I will be having a money mindset book coming out this year,
Yeah.
which I'm really excited about. And I would love to create a class around that and do in-depth money mindset training. That has not been created yet, but if you go to my blog, followtheenergyoftheday.com, that is the best place for us to stay in touch.
Fantastic. And if you do that, you will be able to get these future meditations that we're doing in
Yes.
this podcast series. So if you want more juicy stuff, go to followtheenergyoftheday.com, sign up for that newsletter, and you'll be able to get the rest of this podcast series on money mindset. Janae, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
Fantastic
for
stuff.
having me. So great.
Love it.
Loved it.
For those that are listening, if you love this and want more, go below to rate, review, and subscribe. And as always, if you want more about finding and fulfilling your purpose, being able to take that next step, go to conniesokol.com. I've got all the things you need, the free downloads. We've got the courses, Find Your Purpose courses. We've got retreats for women. We've got it all. So check out conniesokol.com so that we can help you take your next step of living your purposeful, organized, and joyful life for Him.